Good morning, everybody. I am Captain Tommy Scoville, and you are on the Lifeboat Live. You are on the Lifeboat Live really early in the morning. So, I was thinking last night, which does happen from time to time, don't laugh. I was thinking last night that, I go, first of all, right after the lifeboat, I actually went to sleep, which I haven't done in a very long time. And I just said, you know what? I'm not gonna film a video. What I'll do is I'll pop on in the morning, and I will just do it live, right? No big deal. I can do this live, and in doing it live, I will also have an opportunity to help everybody that gets up really early in the morning to join me. Can I get a 5x5 from somebody? How are we? Are we live? Can I get a 5x5? M. Hunt, good morning. Good to see you. 5, there we go. 5x5. Ladybug, thank you. So here's the deal, peeps. I decided that I was going to get up early and just do a live feed instead of editing one and doing it the night before because I was just exhausted. I hadn't slept in days. And I thought to myself, you know what? On a good live feed at night, we pull in Alan Ballantyne, glad you're here. At night, we pull in maybe 300 people on a video before it's all said and done, right? Because we get people from other countries and we get people from all over the place. So it's not always, we don't get them all at once. Mr. Wolf, good to see you. We don't get it all at once. We get these people that sort of trickle in over the course of 3 or 4 days, and they peak out at about 300. The morning videos, on the other hand, they peak out at about 100, right? 130, somewhere in there. So it occurred to me that the people that are really supporting the boat are getting up very early in the morning, and they're getting here and starting their day and doing what we kind of want everybody to do, to kind of focus on the day going forward. So, Observer, good to see you. So I thought to myself, if I'm going to give away some watches, perhaps I should be giving them away to the people who really support the boat. And the morning crew is definitely the crew that supports the boat. So before this video ends, before this live feed ends, I am going to tell you 2 videos that we have shot. There will be in the last 10 days, right? 2 videos that I shot. And you're going to find the name Tommy in the, in the thumbnails, the pictures of the video. You're going to find where Tommy is written, and you're going to email to sober@myyahoo.com. SOBER at, not Yahoo, but my Yahoo. sober@myyahoo.com. And what's going to happen is, I'm going to be giving away 2 of them. Smitty says, I'm new, glad to be here. Smitty, we're glad you're here. So I'm going to be giving away a couple of watches. It doesn't matter if you're a guy or a gal. The picture that you saw in today's thumbnail, that's about half of my my watch inventory. So in that picture, I don't know how many are there, maybe 500, 400, somewhere in there. I could be wrong because there's cases and everything else. I couldn't fit the entire inventory on a bed. I have a lot of watches. So I'm going to be giving, it doesn't matter if you're a guy, a gal, we got women's watches, men's watches. And what'll happen is the winner will, we'll have a conversation. Charlie Mullins, glad you're here. We're going to have a conversation with the winner, find out a little bit about what they're into, because the watches I have span a very long period of time. From pocket watches up to more modern stuff. And before you get started, I'm not giving out Rolexes. Sorry. Maybe another contest at another time I might do that. But on this particular one, there shall be no Rolexes being given away. But I'm giving away nice watches. I'm not giving away trash. But before we do that, I wanted to talk about criticism. Because you're not a watch person. Well, someone you know is. And here's the thing. Why are you not a watch person? The first time you get a really beautiful one in your hand, you might become a watch person. For real. There's a difference between sort of the trash that they sell, that are cheap watches, and something that is just the most beautifully engineered. It has a beating heart inside it. Never needs a battery, right? Don't get me going. I could talk for watches for the rest of my dad is a watch aficionado. M. Hunt, I love it. I've been a watch freak since I was 12. When I was 12 years old, I bought a Swatch, right? The same day that my dad bought a Rolex Submariner. And my Swatch was $23. My dad's watch was $1,050, right? Which sounds like a lot of money compared to a $23 Swatch. But that same watch today, because they still make the Submariner, that watch today is $14,000, right? So that shows you what's happened with prices. But I wore my watch every day. I swam in it and never took it off. I bought about 3 others, started to collect them. And one day it just stopped. And I looked at it and I was like, the hell's wrong with this? So I went to my dad and I said, this watch doesn't work anymore. And he said, you probably just need to replace the battery. And I said, shouldn't your battery have died around the same time as mine? I mean, we bought the watches basically the same day. And my dad said, my watch will never need a battery. And he explained to me the concept between the mechanical watch versus the quartz watch. And that was it. Pocket watch, good call. She said, I never got into them. The only one I would want is a pocket watch. My dad used to have one, but my mom lost it when she had her trailer taken. Well, in my inventory, I have about 125 pocket watches. Some going back 200 years old. So this is going to be wide open. You can win any kind of watch Alan Ballantyne says my dad loves watches, and Alan has a beautiful watch. He has an Omega. It's a great company. So my dad explained to me the concept between the differences between a quartz watch, which runs on a battery, and a mechanical watch, which runs on the one that he had. In fact, that one, because I'm wearing my dad's watch, it runs on the motion of your wrist. As your wrist moves, there's a little weight inside, and that weight winds the watch. This thing vibrates 28,800 times an hour. 28,800 times an hour. It goes like this, back and forth. It's been doing that since 1985. I'm sorry, since 1982. And it's never had a tune-up. And it keeps perfect, accurate time. You can't, check this out. Give you an idea of why things are so freaking expensive. You see this? That is a very sharp screwdriver. It's meant to do, check this out. You can't scratch it. The crystal's made of sapphire. So in all of the years that I have had this, I have never once scratched it. My watch is special to me. It's a custom Nixon Jump. My auntie gave it to me before she died. I know the Nixon Jump, oddly enough. I know the Jump watches are very, very cool anyway. Very cool. If you've never seen a Jump watch, you should see it. They're not like other watches. But this is indestructible. You can take it down 3,000 feet underwater. It's water pressure tested to 3,000 feet. It is literally indestructible. And this is in 1982. And if I go upstairs and I get a new one, which I have a model of this that's maybe 6 years old, and you put them side by side from 5 feet away, you couldn't tell me which one's which. The steel they use is actually more expensive than silver, 8 to 1. So they're using really, really expensive stuff, really, really beautiful materials in order to make this. So, how does a sailor engineer a time-traveling machine? How does a sailor engineer a time-traveling machine? I have no idea. Tommy is on a watch rant. I apologize. And if you get me on a watch rant, I could do this for like 12 hours. This is all I do. If I'm not talking about sobriety, I'm talking about watches. And I get on a vicious watch rant. I really do. You know what though? People say, yeah, you got a hell of a car, you got whatever. Yeah, that thing's built like a Swiss watch, right? That's the term. It's built like a Swiss watch. And the reason is they build things in ways you can't. I mean, when you take one apart and you just see what goes into one of these, it's absolutely unbelievable. You ever heard the term like a 27 jewel watch or a 17 jewel watch? Those aren't decorations. Inside the watch are little metal pins that have to go into a plate so that they can rotate back and forth. And metal on metal will eventually wear itself out. So a guy named Abraham Louis Breguet in the 1700s figured out that if you put that piece of metal into a ruby, then there's no friction. You put a drop of oil on there. And this is why we will be gone. Everybody listening to my voice right now will be gone. And this watch will be running. My kids and their kids will be gone. And this watch will be running. They're made literally so that if you just put oil on them every 20 years, they're never going to wear out. There are no pieces to wear out. Jewels do not wear down. Rubies. So this one here is a 36 jewel movement, and it's bulletproof. It really is. My bass guitars are extremely high-end pieces of wood. It's funny. There's a lot of crossover between watch people and certain other hobbies. I have an old broken watch with at least one ruby. Ladybug, I can fix that broken watch. I absolutely can fix that broken watch. You should get it to me, and I will fix it. I love fixing watches for people on the boat. Done it many times already. I want to thank Buddha and his grandmother for this. Gave me a really beautiful mug that says, you make a difference in this world, which I think is really, it's just such a cool way to have a cup of coffee in the morning. I absolutely love it. I'd like to think we're making a difference, people. I really would. I'd like to think we're making a difference. But before I give away this watch, you're all going to listen to me talk about criticism, because this is a big one. And, I was going to come on here and I was just going to do a quick deal where I talk about John Doe. Good morning. Glad you're here. It's a John Doe. I was going to come on this morning and just give away some watches. That was the plan. I wasn't going to do any kind of talk. But I had a comment from somebody this morning. And the comment wasn't cruel or anything like that, but it said, you made your first critical error, right? We can't see the live chat. And how are people going to see what you do if you don't rebroadcast the live chat? Well, you can't. Good morning. Don. Good morning, Don. Good to see you. Not sure how I say that. Don PLDP. Donald. Glad you're here. I would like the live chat to go up as soon as the show is over. I would like the live chat to just go so that everybody can read it. It doesn't work that way. On short form, if I keep this video to about 15 minutes, the live chat will go up today. But if you go long form, which is anything approaching the 1 hour mark or more, thank you, Mr. Wolf. That means a lot to me. It really does. That's a beautiful comment. I really do appreciate that. Just Dawn. I can go with just Dawn. So I'm reading this comment, and that's your critical error, Captain. Right? I'm blowing it by not posting the live chat. I've argued with the big red button. I literally have. Well, I've argued with whatever the computer that answers you is, because I want the live chat to go posted. Come here, squirrel. I want the live chat to go posted immediately. But quite simply, it does not work that way. Oh, yeah, I forgot. Long form doesn't give you an option to keep the chat. Scooby, it does, but it doesn't give you an option till the following day. So, if I hit keep the chat, which is always on, it's a permanent setting on the lifeboat. The long form is going to post 24 hours. So tonight at 5 o'clock on the West Coast, last night's live feed is going to post with the live chat. I wish it went up instantly, but it didn't. And I could let the criticism get to me. And I did. For about 30 seconds. I thought, you know what, man, that SOB could tell me I made a critical mistake. I didn't make any critical. And then I started thinking to myself, geez, what's wrong with you, man? First of all, the guy probably meant well. He truthfully probably thought, you know what, you're going to do a lot better if people can read what you're talking about. Because look at this. I look over here, right, and I go, hey, Heather Joy, good to see you. Or I say, yeah, you're absolutely right, Tommy Bird, or you're absolutely right. Well, if they can't see what the because so much of what we do is interacting with the audience, with the crew, that the guy's right. It would be a lot better. And he was probably putting that up there saying, hey, if you do this, you're going to get a better show. And this person has commented before, never been rude. In fact, his last comments touched me. And I thought to myself, my skin gets a little thin when it comes to the lifeboat. And you have to be able to take criticism. You really have to be able to. Squirrel, please don't disassemble the house while I'm doing this. You people see her at night when she's really calm. Not so calm at 5 o'clock in the morning. Squirrel, get over here. Squirrel thinks it's her day to get a watch too. She's dragging them around the room. $700-800 watches. Got a mouthful of them. You heard Squirrel meow and thought it was your cat. Yeah, Squirrel is just hell on wheels, people. She really is. But we got to learn to deal with criticism. And I do more than anybody else because what I do brings on a lot of criticism. You know what I mean? And rightly so. Rightly so. Because, you know what? If I was making videos about watches and somebody wanted to come on and say, I disagree with this or that, I can, we can debate watches. We can do anything like that. What we're doing is way more important than that, right? So if I'm doing something wrong and I'm talking about watches, who cares? We can debate it. I can tell them they're an idiot. We can do whatever. They can go to a different watch channel. They can check stuff out. But on the lifeboat, if I make a mistake, it may be the difference between someone getting sober and someone not getting sober. And the guy made a good point. If somebody is just seeing a video for the very first time and they show up and just watch me kind of talk to myself, right? Because they don't realize that, that there's no interaction between me and the crew. If you only see me, it looks like I'm schizophrenic, right? Or I'm Mark Pyers. I'm having conversations with, with people who aren't there, which is part of his show, right? But it's not part of mine. Cats like to catch birds. The early bird gets the worm. The cat gets the bird. True story. I remember a bumper sticker that said that. The early bird may get the worm, but that early bird also is likely to meet a cat. So you really have to kind of thicken your skin up a little bit, especially if you're doing what I'm doing. You kind of gotta, and it's something that I'm working on, people. It really is. I'm actually schizophrenic, and I promise you don't look as bad as I will at times. I have one of my best friends on the planet is schizophrenic. A guy that I've known now, oh Lord, 30 years. A guy that I've known 30 years is schizophrenic. He's had it under control for a really long time, and just one of the best people I've ever met. In fact, every once in a while he pops onto the lifeboat, but he doesn't do much interacting. Not because of that. He's just he likes to describe himself as the world's least social person, and it's not because of schizophrenia. It's just because he doesn't like people. He's made that fairly clear. My neighbor's daughter always asks me about it when I have an episode. Well, you know what? Kids are curious, and you could probably do an awful lot of good by trying to make them understand, because things like schizophrenia, or any other thing that has to do, and that's a disorder, right? Schizophrenia is a mental disorder. And I have several, by the way, mental disorders. But anytime you can meet someone who has a disorder of any kind, and you can sort of humanize that, helps break the stigma surrounding it, Scooby. Thanks. He just did a better job than I was doing. But that really is, drug addiction is no different. I take great joy. I don't like freaking people out or doing other things, but I do take great joy when somebody, like if I had $1 for how many times I've been somewhere where somebody is just beating on drug addicts, and I'll be selling a $15,000 watch, or I'll be wearing a really, really nice suit. You know what I mean? And or working as a public speaker even, or doing any of the things that I do where it doesn't scream drug addict. I don't have my shirt off. You can't see the tattoos and all of that. And because I'm halfway articulate, very often someone will be saying, "Oh, those friggin' drug addicts or junkies or this or that," and I've always really taken great joy in going, "Oh yeah, no, I'm one of those drug addicts." You mean people like me? Because the stigma that surrounds anything, any kind of disorder, it's never real, right? What was the old joke? Roses are red, violets are blue. I'm a schizophrenic and so am I. First of all, it's not even accurate, but it was a joke that was really, really popular for a long period of time in the 80s, and my friend used to take real umbrage. He hated it because he's like, "Man, there's no multiple personality thing with me." He said, "That's not what the schizophrenia is doing." And but people can become very callous, and when they can put a face to the disorder, right? Like drug addiction or anything else. Drug addicts are some of the strongest people on the planet. I believe that. Smitty, I do too. I do too. There's a reason that it's 5 o'clock in the morning and I'm here talking to you people. There's a reason that I do 7 hours of this stuff a week. I believe that I deal with that judgmental behavior from tenants about other tenants. I believe that, Ladybug. I really do. But the reason that I do what I do is because I've said from the very first day that we started the lifeboat, addicts are not just like other people. You know, very often they're better. We're the least judgmental people on the planet. And that's huge. That is a absolute gift that I cannot explain. I said, honey, I was having an episode. My schizophrenia and depression were acting up. I was talking to myself because the schizophrenia, and she brought up my cousin's autistic. You know, kids are great. They really are. My mom, Mama Scoville, ran schools, started schools, ran daycare centers, things like that her entire life. Big ones, right? You know, not 10 kids hanging around. Usually they were very, very, good-sized facilities, hundreds of kids, 100 kids, 150 kids, things like that. And I used to just be so impressed at kids because you would go into a room and like the room that when my son Spanx was a boy, I would bring him to one of my mom's daycares, and the daycare center had, you could see every room from every other room. There was never a room where a kid could be. It was just such a beautifully built situation for just protecting kids. It was gorgeous. It was really well done, and the windows from one room to another were all in different shapes. They were huge. They covered an entire wall, but it would be like a pyramid, right? Or an octagon. And it was really well set up. There was never a kid alone with anybody. It was just, the way it was done was great. It made you feel good. But my son was 3. And at the time I developed a very serious illness, which made it so that I couldn't go to work. And I would hang out up there just to sort of look in on my son, and my niece was the same age as my son. They were both 3. So I would go kind of hang out by the 3-year-old room. But you would look in, and there were, in that room, I think there were 9 kids, and there was a child from India. There were, we were in Texas at the time. There were a couple of kids who were Mexican. We had 3 or 4 black kids, and maybe 6 white kids. And one of the children had been was missing an arm from about halfway down the elbow to the wrist, and it was a birth defect. It was not an injury, and nobody commented, cared. They just played. There was nothing unusual about it. Every once in a while, a kid would go up and ask, and they would just, the conversation would just be, yeah, I was born this way. But to watch these kids interact, racism and hatred and bigotry and all of the things that make the world crappy are taught. Nobody's born that way. Kids do not understand any of that. We had in Vermont, when I was growing up there, they had a program called the Fresh Air Program. And the concept was this: they would take kids from the gnarliest inner city parts of New York and bring them out to the country for the summer. And they would stay with a family, but they would get to see, 150 acres of nothing but grass. Right. So as far as the eye could see, like these kids lived in a concrete jungle. They had never seen anything like Vermont. And, we had a couple of 100 acres, and we had a swimming pool. And so we would get this little girl that would come from Brooklyn. Right. And I mean, deep in it. So just nothing but concrete. And her name was Alicia, but they called her Lisi. And we got Lisi every single summer for probably about 6 or 7 years. And I remember once I was really young, and she was talking to my mother, and they were talking about presidents. And Lisi said that her favorite president was Abraham Lincoln. And my mom said, yeah, why is that? And she said, well, because he freed the black people. And my mom said he did, but he did a lot for white people too. And Lisi goes, yeah, but I don't like white people. So my mother said, you don't like white people? And she said, no, I don't. And my mom said, well, so you don't like me? She said, oh, I love you. And my mom said, well, I'm white. she did not know. Like, no lie. She had heard people talk or whatever, but at the age of 6, she didn't get this concept. And it was really funny because my dad, Papa Scoville, they always called Moose, and the kids always called him Papa Moose. And she came home, my father came home from work and was wearing his suit and this and that. And when my dad walked through the door, Lacey looked at him and then looked over at my mom and said, Papa Moose, is he white too? And it's just one of those stories that have sort of stuck with us over the years. That's a story that gets retold. But again, that kind of stuff is taught. We don't, by nature, we don't hate anybody. We're not born hating anybody. That's just not who we are. We're born loving. That's really kind of how we were designed by the good Lord to love one another, to take care of one another. Sadly, screwed up family and friends derail people and turn them into haters. Fortunately, none of them here, and that's a beautiful thing. It really is. I remember talking with my bobbleheaded partner in the beginning, and people exhibit really stupid behavior. People really exhibit stupid behavior when they're on drugs and alcohol, right? There's a lot of just really stupid things that happen. And we had to have a conversation about, what are we gonna do? Yeah, it breaks your heart as a child when the real world hits you. My dad told me fair isn't the real world, accept it. And there's something to that. There really is, and it's great when there's somebody there to catch you when you find out that the real world sucks. That's what parents are for, right around the time you find out what life's all about, it's great to have somebody there to just to be there for you. But Mark and I had to talk about how far do you let somebody that's being a jackwagon go? Because you have to kind of give people a break at some level because of the substance abuse, but you can't let them have free reign and just be idiots, right? So when we were talking about, like, is there a reason you go, there's the exit sign, get the hell out, right? And that was one of the most difficult things when putting the boat together, was how are we going to deal with, but it was really funny because we sort of made a list, and any kind of bigotry or racism or hatred of another race because of their race or because of their religion or because of their whatever, that was going to be the kill switch. We could put up with a lot of stuff. There are people on this boat that have said things about me, who are still here, by the way, who have said things about me that were just vile. And we even have some people that were at one time trolls that really went out of their way to try to kind of destroy the lifeboat, but they were in the life. They were people who were using it. A lot of stuff like that, I can forgive a lot of it. But if you hate for the sake of hate, then there's just no room for you on the boat, and that's sort of the way that goes. I like the fact that we got up this morning to do this live. I'm not going to keep everybody here an entire hour. So, you understand the rules to this contest, right, peoples? So if you got here late, here's how the rules go. In every thumbnail that we do, since my bobbleheaded partner took his hiatus, so all the thumbnails that I do personally, I sign Tommy in every one of them. There's a signature. It's in cursive. It says Tommy. And sometimes they're obvious as hell. Like today's, there's no way you're going to miss Tommy. In a lot of them, it's like Waldo. You got to find where it says Tommy. So I'm going to pick 2 videos. You need to describe in the email where you see them, right? So let's say that it was today's video, right? You would describe exactly lower left-hand corner, whatever. Let's say it was on a tennis racket, like I hid it on the handle of a tennis racket. You would write, it's hidden on a tennis racket handle, or it's on the tennis racket handle, or anything like that, right? So it doesn't have to be flowery, it just has to be quick. I'm picking 2 videos, and you are the first person. Free high, erase all hate. There you go. I love it. I love it. Erasing hate is definitely a free high. God bless you. I love it. Okay, so Emma Hunt says, let's go. 2 videos. Are you ready, people? So you're going to be emailing the answers to sober, S-O-B-E-R, at myyahoo.com. Don't email it to the other one. It's got to go to that one. Everybody got that? Throw some ones up if you understood the directions, and then I'm going to give you the, I don't want anyone saying I didn't understand. Let's see some ones, right? Okay, Hunt's ready to go. Now the way that this is going to go, Alan Ballantyne is ready. Charlie Mullins knows. Okay, good, we're good to go. So it's going to be the first 2 people. I'm giving away 2 today. So whether you're a guy or girl, doesn't matter. I'm giving away 2 watches today. All right. And we will be in contact to talk to you about your style likings and things like that. And we're going to get something that fits for you. So the first video is going to be the Tommy off script video. Okay. The first video is the Tommy off script video. And the second video is the one about, are you wasting time? The Tommy off script, it says off script Wednesday or whatever it was. And the other one is the video on wasting time. Get on it, people. I will announce tonight who the winners are because I am leaving right now. Get those over there. If you are the winner, you're going to know before then, but I'll tell the rest of the crew who won. I'm Captain Tommy Scoville. Go out there and make it a hell of a day. All right, peeps? Don't let anybody bring you down. I will see you on the boat tonight. God bless. Anita Ferris, good to see you. Fetters, rather. Good to see you. Squirrel, you ready? It's not in the basket. Love you, everybody. Have a great day. Good luck.